Today's project is something that I invented called social justice hopscotch. You can do this outside or indoors. I'm going to show you the indoors version today. All you really need is some chalk, some dark colored paper, and some scissors. I would suggest at least 2 sheets. The first thing you're going to do is cut the sheet into quarters. So you should have about 8 of these little guys total. You're going to take the chalk and sort of decorate each panel in a slightly unique or different way. You want to really emphasize something that's meaningful to you that comes up in the context of the cause.
This material is, you kind of want to work on an angle, in my opinion. That way you can sort of control it a little bit better. And you still get the softness that this quality has kind of innately. When I was thinking about putting this project together, I thought this material would be great for a couple of reasons. One, because it has sort of like a light-hearted association with it already. And 2, it's really cheap. And the colors are pretty vibrant, even if you just have white or, the classic yellow. So already there's a little bit of positivity kind of built in, just based on what you're using. And since the subject matter is so dark, it felt like a really important aspect of this. Really what you're going for here is to create a dialogue, right? We do this a lot in meetings too, where you have an icebreaker before you really get to the content of what the meeting is about. So the idea of hopscotch, or the idea that this is a game, is really a farce. Is in fact quite serious, and has been for some time. Ultimately, when you're tackling any kind of social justice issue, that's what you want to cultivate, is a space for people to be heard, right? Because that's how we really learn about the issues, but more importantly, that's how we learn how to fix them. Oh yeah, let's do this. So we've been working a lot on portioning things out for the whole year, really. And this is just another way of working in sections, right? So by kind of focusing on one square at a time, the project doesn't seem quite as daunting. Ultimately, my work is going to be outside, and the scale of it is much, much different than one of these smaller little cards. But it's still a great place to start. So traditionally, the hopscotch board is at least 7 squares total. You will have every other row of 1 staggering with every other row of 2 squares. So for my board, I'm kind of mixing it up between these characters, or faces, I guess. These people here, as well as language and words from the social justice seekers and protesters alike. So additionally, I invited some people who I've worked with in the past who are Black to contribute some quotes as well. And honestly, it's a pretty sensitive time for everyone. So the results were mixed, but the people who did contribute picked great stuff, obviously. And again, you know, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a dialogue, right? So even just that small gesture of asking for others' input on this project sort of created its own tangent that I hadn't anticipated, right? I started to think about things that other people had brought up, and not to mention the dialogue that it initiated between me and the other artist. Right? This work is so important because it's really designed to promote change, all through a really constructive manner. Alright, so the idea is once you have enough of these, you can kind of start putting them together. Alright, I realize mine is just a little bit meta in that I have a hopscotch of a hopscotch here, but you know, still workshopping this, as you can tell. So here's just a place to start. Right? These are just a few of the panels that I have. And already it's kind of makes a pretty powerful statement on its own, right? So obviously the more that I make, the further out I can build this. If you're doing it at home, you can really work on it in sections. And if you're doing it outside, you know, divide up the labor. Have somebody help you. Once the work is bigger, you know, these will be more detailed. But for the scale, for like an indoor version, still pretty powerful. I'm gonna make a lot more of these, and I think this works, kind of mirrors the protest sign. So as you move them around, you know, maybe this is an important place to finish. All right, so there you have it.
social justice hopscotch with an emphasis on Black Lives Mattering. Give it a try. So, to my students who are at home, I just want to say that we're going to get this right for you. All of you, each and every one of you, deserve to live full and happy lives without having to worry about your safety, particularly from people who are supposed to protect you. And if you think that just one person can't make a difference, just look around. All these protests are just groups of individuals. Your voice is important. You are all important. Stay safe.